A big Friday welcome into lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, with you Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. And you can see all of our past shows not only on our YouTube page, youtube.com/lcpios, but through the fan zone at lcpioneers.com. Just click that link at the top menu and go down to lcpioneers.com live as we keep you connected with student athletes, coaches, alumni, and members from throughout the Lewis and Clark College community. Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks for joining us on Friday. I am the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark, the Pioneers out of Portland, Oregon, a member of NCAA Division III, against other institutions from throughout the country, over 430 institutions competing at that level, and Lewis and Clark, a member of the 9-team Northwest Conference with other institutions from throughout Northwest Oregon and the state of Washington. We have 19 intercollegiate athletics programs at Lewis and Clark, and a chance to keep tabs on them with this show. We'll have Noa Hochman join us in just a few moments, a junior for Lewis and Clark women's track and field, and a chance to see how fall semester 2020 has gone. Likely one of the oddest that anyone will ever experience in the history of collegiate athletics. I mean, you haven't had to deal with a global pandemic for a full semester yet, but also a member of the team last year when the spring season was cut off because of the pandemic too, as we move into the last few weeks of November. So excited to talk to Noah, excited for you to be here. You can get in touch with the show, comments and questions available in our Facebook Live chat. You can also email us anytime, sports@lclark.edu, should you ever have any recommendations for a guest on the show. One last thing before we get in some other highlights, I do want to mention that our COVID website, updates relating to the pandemic as they affect Lewis and Clark athletics, available at lcpioneers.com/COVID. As soon as we have any information to pass along, whether it's from the NCAA or the Northwest Conference specific to athletics, we're posting it on that website. And then, of course, there is a link there to reach the Lewis and Clark College COVID site as well. You can also find us on social media anytime, LC Pioneers, on both Twitter and Instagram. And we are keeping you updated with our YouTube playlist with all the past episodes of lcpioneers.com live. The most recent, which was yesterday, we talked to head softball coach Shauna Cyrus. And then one big shout out, another thank you to the families from the Lewis and Clark swimming program, helping us revamp the look of Zentbauer Swimming Pavilion. Big banners now on the west wall above the locker room doors. And that's just the first phase of what we're looking to do in Zentbauer Swimming Pavilion. Big thanks again to all the families who made that possible, and Coach Fonts and the team. Definitely appreciative of that as well. And we can invite you to check out lcpioneers.com. In the fan zone, there is our Pioneers of the Week section as well. We update that with a member of one of our intercollegiate programs each week, and you can read more about what they're up to, especially in, again, an odd circumstance without competition, the Northwest Conference suspending things for fall and early winter through January 1st, 2021. With that said, let's bring in our guest today, a junior for women's track and field, joining us on lcpioneers.com live, Noa Hochman, on the program. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us and round out our week, the last week of shows, in fact, before Thanksgiving break. And that might be a good place to start, is to kind of document how things have gone for you throughout the course of the fall 2020 semester. Give us an update from your perspective.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's definitely been an interesting semester. I am currently in Portland. I have spent the last several months here, but I am going home today, actually. And I really didn't know what to expect, because after we went home in March, classes were fully online, the track season had been canceled, everything felt like it was very much in influx, like there was nothing stable about it. And so it felt good to come back to Portland in August. And even though all of the classes that I were taking happened to be remote, I didn't plan it that way, but all of my classes ended up being online. It was still nice to be able to come to campus and have track practices. And I worked for Campbell, and so being able to be in Pamplin still, and just have the routine of being back in Portland was definitely good for me, but also still weird to be figuring out everything and just taking it day by day.
Well, and you brought some of that up in the reasons that you're back in Portland, and at least at the start, we're attempting to take the hybrid classes with everything moving remote. I'm curious, what was your thought process about reasons to return? Had you thought about going fully remote? Walk us through the decision making you made at the beginning of the fall.
Over the summer, I was thinking a little bit about staying at home, mostly just to save money and not have to be paying rent, because I wasn't sure what it was going to look like if I was going to be able to be on campus at all. But as soon as I learned that we would be able to like be having track practices and that campus would still be open, I didn't actually know until I got to Portland which of my classes were going to be fully remote and which were going to have like some hybrid options. So I had my housing figured out. I wanted to come back. I knew that it would be best for me, like, to be in the mental space to learn. I do much better in Portland than when I'm at home in my parents' house. So that was like ultimately the decision that I made, and I'm happy with it.
Now you discussed classes and that decision making. Then we had the opportunity to have some fall practice, as different as it may have felt. But from your perspective, was practice fairly similar to in the past during fall practice? Describe what it was like for you.
Yeah, definitely the structure of practices stayed the same. We were running 4 to 5 days a week and lifting 3, which was great because it like that was a huge thing for me. It felt really good to be back in the weight room since I hadn't none of the gyms were open the whole time that I was home. So being able to like have that space to get into that aspect of practice again was awesome. And I think that our coaches did a really good job of like easing us into the workouts, knowing that we were coming off of like I hadn't ran on a track the whole time that I was home. I had done a couple track workouts, but like was not consistently working out on a track because it was hard to like find one and just be able to like make that work. Um, but I think that the coaches did a really good job of like keeping the setup and like the design of the practices that we were doing pretty similar to stuff that we've done in the past, but also like being very adaptive to what each athlete needed.
Noa Hochman, our guest on lcpioneers.com live, junior for Lewis and Clark track and field. And one thing that you said, I don't even know if I've had this topic on the show in the past, specifically about fall 2020, is I've been so focused on team practices and what the teams are able to do. But you even talked about something simple like being able to work out with Coach Ange, the strength and conditioning coach, and having weight room access. Why is that such a big deal? And how valuable is Coach Ange just historically for you?
I personally had zero experience lifting before starting running for Lewis and Clark. My high school track program did not have like we didn't lift as part of our practices. I really didn't have any experience with that. And it's definitely something that I have grown to love and I absolutely like now I really enjoy that side of our practices. Coach Ange is like the greatest resource. She's so helpful. Um, Particularly for an athlete like myself who came into it my freshman year having like no idea how to do anything. And now I feel really confident and like comfortable in the weight room, which has been something that has felt really nice to like grow into. But yeah, that's a resource that I feel very grateful to have. And I like how it works in with our practices too.
Now, you're from Encinitas, California, so let's go to the origin story and get an understanding of why you ultimately picked Lewis and Clark. What drew you to campus?
Off the bat, Lewis and Clark was the most beautiful campus that I visited. I had applied early action, applied to a bunch of schools, some in California, a couple on the East Coast, and I was looking for like that smaller liberal arts education. And the fact that I could run track for Lewis and Clark was like a huge draw to me. I was able to meet with Campbell before. I got to meet the team, and at that point, I had pretty much made the decision that I was going to come to Lewis and Clark. I really liked that it is still on the West Coast, so it felt close enough where I could like get on a plane and fly home and be home in 2 or 3 hours, but also far enough away where I wasn't going to like be going home every weekend. And yeah, I mean, I like the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful. There's lots to explore.
Yeah, and now a member of the track and field team under non-pandemic circumstances. What's it like to be a member of this team? You know, going to competitions in the spring where you're having events over the course of the week, and even before the pandemic hit last March, you know, indoor activity and a lot of that stuff. What's it like to be a member of the track and field program at Lewis and Clark?
I love being a part of the track and field program. It has been such a positive influence on my time at Lewis and Clark, and it's fun. Like we have a really good time as a team, and it's not a very big team. It's bigger in the spring when all the distance kids are with us. Um, but it's really nice to like get to know each other and get to know the coaches so well, especially because there aren't that many people. And I love like racing, and you mentioned going to indoor meets. This was my or last year was the first year that I had ever raced indoors, so that was like a whole new experience to me, which I really enjoyed. Um, and just like everybody's so supportive of each other, and it's a very like it feels like a very good community to be part of. We always have intramural teams that we make out of the track team. We just won kickball, the intramural championship of kickball, and so it's nice to like have a group of people to be able to do both track and also like enjoy things outside of track with.
Well, and I hope that you'll display the intramural champions T-shirt proudly. I suspect.
Yes, I don't have it with me, but
Oh,
I'll be
someday.
wearing it proudly.
Someday. Hey, I think kickball was one of my favorite intramurals when I was in college, and you describe Campbell, who's the head coach of the program, Aaron Campbell, who also, by the way, runs intramurals. But that aside, give us your best Aaron Campbell story when it comes to having been one of his student athletes.
I don't know if I have. I spend a ridiculous amount of time in Campbell's office. I love it in there. I work for him as well. Um, I think it's just been great having a coach who I feel like I've gotten to know so well and who has gotten to know me. Um, and he's fun. We love him. Like overall as a team, we could not ask for a better coach. Um, One thing that I think of is we have game days sometimes, which we haven't had that many of this fall because of COVID guidelines. But in the past, we always have game days on Wednesdays. And Campbell will get so into game day and he'll play spike ball with us. Um, or we play like ultimate frisbee with a soccer ball. And he will always be on the winning team. And so just stuff like that, where like he's very engaged with his athletes. And it's something that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, a very competitive mindset because I've seen him play pickup hoops as well. We've talked
Yes.
to him about that on the show. One thing that is unique to ask you, Noah, is as we've posted pictures on Instagram, track and field, we have a lot of pictures of you running. And I love the fact that you've expressed running photos are some of the toughest photos to get. And we try our hardest. Running photos are tough, right?
Yes, I don't think that I have a single good running picture. I've been running since early middle school, since I was a child, and to this day, I have yet to get a running picture. I'm like, okay, I like that.
I promise, before your time is done at Lewis and Clark, we'll try our hardest to get one that you can
Someday.
proudly hang above the mantle, if you will. You can't see it either because you don't have a return feed, but we are putting some running pictures over the top as you're talking, so I
Oh, great.
apologize if they are not up to snuff. Noah
That's
Hochman
okay.
joining us on lcpioneers.com live. You can be with us Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live, and then archived at youtube.com/lcpios. You declare as a psychology major. What was it about that academic path that drew you toward it?
I've kind of bounced all over the place with what I want to do after graduating, but I've always been interested in psychology. Um, and before I had declared my major, I had already gotten pretty deep into the psychology major with the classes that I had been taking, and I was just loving them, so I thought it made sense to declare as a psych major. Um, I don't know if I have no plans on like going into therapy after graduating, but I think that the base that psychology gives, like has given me as a student, is going to be very applicable to anything that I want to do. Um, and I mean, I've taken some really interesting classes, some really challenging classes, but I think that the connections that I've been able to make between psychology and other classes that I've taken have been really like cool to see. And it's shown me like how what I'm learning in those classes is going to be applicable to anything.
Now, you describe some of the classes that you've taken as being pretty rewarding. Has there been a professor or is there a class that maybe is still on the path toward graduation that you're really looking forward to?
I'm currently taking adolescent and adult development with Jenny LaBounty, who is amazing. She's my advisor. I hadn't taken a class with her before, and I also hadn't taken infant and child, which is development, which is like the course that most people do. But I thought that like it worked with my schedule. It was a class that I was interested in taking, and it's been really interesting to be learning like exactly about what I am going through and what my fellow college age peers are going through. So that's been a class that I really enjoyed. I'm taking a cross cultural psychology class, which is like hands down the hardest class I've ever taken. But once again, so interesting. Really important, I think, like as a psychology major to get that cross cultural perspective. So those have been two classes that I'm currently in. That even though they're online, I feel like I've been able to get a lot out of.
Well, let's close with this, and it kind of takes us back to track, but I didn't talk specifically or ask you anything specifically about the events that you run within track. What is it about the events that you run that you enjoy? What makes you try to shoot for, higher goals within those events?
So I run sprints. I run mostly the 100 and the 200. I ran the 60 indoors, and I've been on the relay team. My freshman year, I was on the 4x1 relay team that went to conference, which was an awesome experience to get to have. And I think right now I'm feeling particularly inspired to like get back into the shape and like continue where I left off last year, because I PR'd by a lot in the UW meet that we went to, which was the last indoor meet. We only had one outdoor meet, and so I just felt like I had finally gotten into my groove. I was like getting faster and feeling happy with like how I was competing, and so definitely a bummer that the season had to be cut short, but I'm excited to get back to that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the indoor season too. I was able to go to my first indoor event at George Fox, so it was fun to see it. And I agree, it was very much a disappointment it was cut short. But I wish you continued safety. You said you're traveling home, so safety along that route too. And mostly, thank you for everything you've done for our program, and certainly for joining us today on the show. Noa Hochman, thanks so much for being on lcpioneers.com live.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. That was a fun conversation. And Noa, we had to try to move some things around. She was not feeling well last week, so we weren't able to have her on the show Friday. And then originally we're gonna talk to Margot Chiriath, today from swimming. And now there was a doctor's appointment for Margot, and so I was able to reach out to Noa. We were going to have her sometime in December, ended up having her today, and I'm really glad we had a chance to catch up with her, because she definitely has been a great member of the Lewis and Clark Athletics Department, and certainly appreciative of all that she brings to our school. So this has been a lot of fun doing these shows. Like I said, if you haven't seen them already, prior to today, we have all the shows available on demand at youtube.com/lcpios, or easily at lcpioneers.com. Just click on the fan zone and click the link for lcpioneers.com live. We are off all of next week. Thanksgiving is on Thursday, so we're just taking the entire week off to refocus, get things ready for the final month of the calendar year. So live shows will return beginning December 1st. And while there may be some re-airs during the 11:30 a.m. Pacific time slot on Facebook Live Tuesday through Friday next week, if they're not, you certainly can watch any of them, as I mentioned, on YouTube. And then we'll be back on Tuesday, December 1st for our next live show. So for everyone who's been able to tune in with us, watch with us since March 31st, we wish you the most continued safety as well. Updates regarding athletics and Lewis and Clark with COVID-19 available at lcpioneers.com/COVID. We understand that there's a lot of uncertainty leading into the January 1st, 2021 and beyond. We're trying to get you as much information as soon as those decisions are made. Certainly a lot of different elements, a lot of different entities in play with the NCAA Northwest Conference. Lewis and Clark is the institution. We have a lot of work to do, the county, the state, etc. So we're continuing to update you, and as soon as we have any new information, it'll always be at lcpioneers.com/COVID. But a lot of fun. I'm Ryan Goff. Thank you for being here with us. Thanks again to Noa, and we will see you soon for more lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. Goodbye, everybody.
We invite you to join us.
It's time to explore Lewis and Clark.